Ah, so welcome everybody to our, sorry, I pushed my buttons, to Creating Queer Communities Level 2 information session. First of all, we would like to start with the land acknowledgement. QCC is located on the traditional lands of the Ramaytush Ohlone people who have stewarded this land for generations. We recognize the enduring relationships that exist between these indigenous peoples and their traditional territories. We pay our respects to the Ohlone elders, past, present, and emerging, and we honor their ongoing connection to this land, waterways, and all the living beings. We commit to listening and learning from Indigenous voices, advocating for Indigenous rights, and working towards reconciliation and healing. So welcome everybody. Just so you can get familiar with our team, and we're all here online right now. We have Anand Kalra, QCC's Executive Director. I'm Sara Guerra, QCC Deputy Director. Vienna Alvarez, QCC's Development and Production Manager. And coming soon, our new Program Manager, Jere Lucas.
Their first day is tomorrow.
Yay! um, so, who is QCC? Is there anyone here who is familiar with QCC or has been to a past NQAF? If you have, you might have seen me at the box office. Queer Cultural Center, we promote social justice through the artistic and financial development of queer art and culture. We steward artists, and those programs nourish, connect, and mobilize trans and queer communities in San Francisco and its diaspora. Since our founding in 1993, QCC has uplifted the work of queer and trans artists by offering supportive programming. We serve an estimated 475,000 LGBTQIA2S plus residents of the greater regional San Francisco and the Bay Area. And we've proudly helped over 50 Bay Area LGBTQIA2S plus artists and organizations to secure over $10 million in programmatic and general operating funds. You might be familiar with some of our programs. We have the National Queer Arts Festival, Creating Queer Communities, our fiscal sponsorship, and other art services such as grant writing, fundraising, and workshops. And if you're not familiar with Creating Queer Communities, it is one of our longest standing programs, and it is a professional development training program for queer and trans artists in the San Francisco Bay Area. For over 25 years, Queer Cultural Center has provided CQC members an opportunity to build their knowledge base around their artistic practice by providing small grants, free education opportunities, and mentorship. QCC is offering this paid structured learning and performance opportunities at 2 levels for the first time. So if you're familiar with how we ran before, we had the CQC program, you came to the workshop, and then you may or may not have been in the NQAF, in National Queer Arts Festival. Well, we've divided it up into 2 to bring in a more year-round programming in these different ways.
Before we go farther, Sana, can you go back a slide? I just want to say, one, we're really excited to be having these 2 cycles going. So the CQC1 program is already in progress. They'll perform in the fall. And if you have questions at any point, don't wait till the end. Just if anything that's on the slide in front of us, it's really helpful if you can get the questions right so we have the context with it, and especially helpful for people who are watching the recording later. So get your elbows out and get those questions in the chat, please. Thank you so much.
All right. And so we've broken up into 2 levels. We've relaunched our CQC program. So we have CQC level 1, CQC1 for emerging artists, and that runs fall to fall. We are currently in the middle of our first CQC1 cycle. CQC level 2 is for established artists, and that's what this cohort will be, is our first relaunch of CQC2 program. As you can see, the program CQC1 began in 2024. and the cycle ends November 2024. CQC2, which is this current cohort that we'll be bringing in, will start this May, June, and will culminate and end May, June 2025. So it's a 12-month program. And then the next CQC1 applications will be out fall 2024, and their fall Queer Arts Festival will be October, November of 2025. CQC level 2 is for established artists, and it starts and begins in the spring. And where we have this is, what is an established artist? You have 1 to 3 years experience in event production, or have produced more than one event in the past 2 years.
We had, I think, just wanted to add on that slide, Sarah, if you can go back, please. Thank you so much. So if you're not sure, you're like, hey, am I the right fit for level 2? Oh, maybe I should be in level 1. I'm not sure. If you can easily think of, oh yeah, I worked on this, and this event. These ones I held down myself. That says, okay, you've got the right level of things for level 2. If you're like, does this one count? I don't know. And it's hard to get, up to like a couple examples, then see what level 1 might be a better fit for you. But if you're not sure at all, like ask your questions and do your application, and we'll see. We don't want to discourage people from applying, but we just also want to make you not spend a bunch of time on something and then it's like, oh, I'm not even the right fit.
Shar has a question. I'm wondering what y'all mean by event production precisely.
So event meaning you have an idea for a zine release. You've produced a zine, you have fellow zinesters that want to produce an event. You can apply for this grant, and it'll be part of the Queer Arts Festival in the spring. So it's funds to commission the event for you to produce and give you some support for that event. Is that okay? Yeah, Anand.
Thank you so much. And I think also, Shar, to your question, if you're thinking about that from the like, should I apply versus I have an idea for a specific thing part of it, which we also have slides on that. So don't worry, that's not the only time you can talk about that. But any kind, what we're trying to be general enough with this that it doesn't have to be like a formal, there was a grant for it and I was the secretary and this person was the treasurer. Like, we don't want to force people to have already had formal experience. But if there are things that you can think of, like, oh yeah, something that's bigger than my cousin's quinceañera, although I don't know, there might be a lot involved in that. But something that you've done that's for a public audience, not just to like having your couple friends over for a thing at your house. You might have a big house. Maybe if you had 50 people there, I don't know. But these are the kinds of directions we want to open up to people. And again, without being too prescriptive about it. But if you have particular questions about does this count, does that count, send your questions. Can always go to production at Queer Cultural Center between now and the application deadline.
Yana has a question. They didn't write it in here, but maybe they want to say it out loud.
Yes, I had a few questions. So I just wanted to understand the commission that is $5,000. That is to produce the event, correct?
Yes.
And then it could be a ticketed event, or is that?
It would be a ticketed event, yeah. Okay.
And would the profit go back to you guys, or would it go to the producer?
Historically, what we've done is I'm sorry, Sana. I just love answering questions because I love trivia.
Okay, go ahead.
Historically, we've done a 50-50 split.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and my second question is, I've done event production for all like various types of events, but I'm interested in bringing back an event that I did called Limitless Queer Fashion Show, and wanted to know if a fashion show with designers, models, but also performing artists would fall under this category, if that is something that I could apply for.
Yes.
When we get to,
Okay.
yeah, we've got a whole slide on like, what's performance? What's art?
Okay.
Well, we didn't answer what's
Okay.
art,
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you everyone for your questions.
keep them coming.
All right. So for this cohort, QCC will select 5 to 7 applicants for the CQC cohort. The CQC2 cohort members will receive professional development workshops, will produce an individual cultural event as part of QCC's 2025 Queer Arts Festival. Do you have a question, Xander? Oh, okay.
I was just getting excited for the good part.
Yes, what will you receive? What comes with this? So artists selected for the 2024 CQC Level 2 will be a paid learning opportunities, hands-on workshops on topics including fundraising, financial literacy, technical aspects of production, marketing and promotion, and community safety. A $5,000 artist commission to produce an event that will be part of QCC's 2025 Spring Queer Arts Festival. Commission award is contingent on successful completion of the required workshops. And artistic, technical, venue, marketing, and box office support for your event. It's roughly valued at about $5,000, and it is not exchangeable for an increased commission. We would pay vendors directly for the additional services that we're going to provide. Professional photo documentation of your event, and networking opportunities with fellow cohort members and other Bay Area QTBIPOC arts leaders.
So, for example, other people who've been through this program and didn't get this commission up front, and definitely wasn't $5,000 in the old days, include organizations that you might be familiar with, like the Fresh Meat Festival of, I forget what their subtitle is, but queer and trans artists, lots of performance, the Queer Women of Color Media Arts Project, Queer Rebels. I am missing some.
Still here.
Yes, Still Here San Francisco Queer Ancestors Project. Oh, all of our current fiscally sponsored projects. There's a ton. But people have found this stuff useful. So it's not just us trying to make you show up to a Zoom or make you show up to a thing, on a Saturday kind of thing. People really get a lot out of it. It depends on what you put in.
Eligibility. So you must be 18 years old, identify as a member of the LGBTQIA2S+ community, identify as Black, Indigenous, or another person of color, be an individual artist or art group collective based in the San Francisco Bay Area. And if you apply with a group or a collective, please just, we're asking you designate one person who will attend the workshops on the group's behalf to support the learning and the continuity. You cannot currently be a fiscally sponsored project of QCC. Commit to attend mandatory workshops from July 2024 to May 2025. Some will be in person in San Francisco and Oakland, and some will be virtual. And have 1 to 2 years experience in event production or have produced more than one event in the past 2 years.
1 to 3 years. And the reason we have an upper cap on it, so I'm so sorry. I missed the run through because I was in another meeting, and I'm so sorry that I'm giving like that. But the reason that we have a cap on it is because we also, if you're someone who is like, you're a total pro and you're, getting booked all the time, we want to make sure that there is space for those people who are in between. I'm just starting and I'm a total pro. So that's who this is for.
We do have a question, 2 questions that pertain to one. If we are not in town for an in-person meeting, can we Zoom in? And are the dates for in-person meetings available already?
Yes, you can Zoom in, and we do not have dates set yet. We're hoping to have those set by the time orientation comes around, which will be in July. And yeah, we've always provided, as long as we know in advance, there's leeway with the required workshops.
Or there's like an emergency, but not a oops, I forgot emergency.
Was there another question?
That is it. Thank you, they say.
Thank you. Project requirements. So they must support QCC's goal to nourish, connect, and mobilize queer and trans communities in the San Francisco Bay Area, be able to realistically be implemented within a 12-month timeline, fall clearly into one or more of the following disciplines. So literary, theater performance, dance movement, music, visual arts, nightlife, drag. And at the time, we film and video can be incorporated in your project, but CQC does not support projects that are primarily film, like documentary or narrative films, either short or long feature length. If you are a filmmaker, we highly encourage you to reach out to QuackMap, Frameline, or Transgender Film Festival. They're all excellent. Are there any questions about the project requirements?
I just want to comment on the question that came up earlier about, I believe you described it as a fashion show, and then there's like other things happening. Maybe there's I didn't get the full picture, but it sounded fun. But so I would, if I were you and I was filling out the application, I would check theater performance, I would check visual arts, I would check maybe music. There's no advantage to checking a lot of boxes. There isn't. So like, don't think like, oh, I gotta make something that's really multidisciplinary. But if you are doing something that is, then let us know so that we get a full picture of it.
We have one question. If we have produced a film with, say, QuackMap, does that count as having had experience with production?
That's a great question, Sada. Do you want to take it first, or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
I think it's a fun question. And I would say that if you were also involved with supporting the screening or the release or any of that aspect, or if you were helping out with other people who went through the program with you to like, I don't know, to get their work done on time or something, I think you could make an argument about it. But again, if you're in that spot where you're like, I'm trying to get to my 3 examples, you might be a better fit to reapply for CQC1 or to apply for CQC1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So CQC and NQAF, what's that? Each festival is anchored with one anchor project. The anchor project for Fall National Queer Arts Festival 2024 is Weaving Spirits Festival of Two-Spirit Performance. They convene local and national Native American artists whose genres range from traditional music to storytelling, experimental performance, and drag. And CQC2's anchor project is our annual visual art exhibit, which is annually held in June at SOMARTS.
So that's who will be rounding out the picture of the season artistically that you'll be part of, hopefully.
Selection process. So the selection committee for this cohort consists of QCC's full-time staff members. There will be an initial review. We will review all applicants as a group and determine which projects best fit in these criteria. Applicant and project meet all eligibility criteria. Project alignment with QCC's objective to nourish, connect, and mobilize queer and trans communities in the San Francisco Bay Area. Project alignment with the festival theme, Pleasure in the Storm. And how well project complements other selected projects to form a cohesive, connected festival together. The final review, we will invite finalists to interview via Zoom, and those will be held on June 21st and 22nd. We'll notify applications selected for the CQC2 2025 cohort by June 29th, 2024. Important dates. So today, information session. Applications are due June 3rd. Finalist interviews will be June 21st and 22nd. Notification of selection by June 29th. Orientation will be in July. Workshops begin August. And performances and exhibits will be May through June 2025 as part of NQAF. And lastly, are there any more questions?
I think that could you go back to the slide where we have all of the disciplines and the project requirements? Yeah. We have someone that's just trying to know a little bit more of what would count for us as an event production. And I think that's when we had our question with the film at QuackMap, with QuackMap. Shar, is there any other examples that you were thinking of that maybe you wanted us? Yeah, go for it, share.
Oh, I just recall I like helped quite a bit of like putting logistics together for an event called Awakening Heart for one of my decal classes at UC Berkeley. But yeah,
Did you say decal classes?
yeah,
Like
democracy education at Cal.
I thought making stickers that go on the window. Thank you for.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I've just done various different like bits here and there. So I just wanted to know what y'all are looking for to include in my application is what I was looking for more so. But thank you so much for that clarification.
Thanks for being here. Always nice to hear from you and hear your voice.
Aw, thank you. Likewise. Really good to be with y'all.
If you had stepped away from, oh, was someone coming off mute?
I was asking.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was asking, does anyone have any more questions?
I was just gonna encourage. Now is the time because we're only doing one of these live information sessions. So if you've got a question, and a week from now, or maybe you're someone who started your draft, but then you had other things in your life and you're finishing it the night before. Well, the night before is a Sunday, so if you email us on Sunday, you're very unlikely to get a response in time for the submission deadline on Monday night. So, just saying. If you go to our website, so also just curious, who found out about this from Instagram? And you're like, I saw this on Instagram, I thought it was cool, and I'm gonna come. Put that in the chat if you're an Instagram person. And I'm curious, who was like, I get your newsletter every month, and so I was so excited, and I clicked the link from our newsletter. I think it that way. And if you are curious about either side of the like, oh, am I qualified side, or also the like, budgeting, good, okay. If you have questions about what kinds of projects or is my project neat, feel free to ask those. But Ayana has a question about budgeting. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question about the budgeting part. Like I saw the form that you guys sent us. And I don't really know what the question is. I guess I just didn't understand the layout or the format of it.
Yes. There is if you go to our on our website where we have the whole stuff laid out, there's a link there, and we'll send it in our follow-up email from this. But it has a link, not in addition to the budget template itself, the workshop that we did on budgeting for an event, and we use this exact same thing. So if you watch that thing, you can watch it on 2 times speed or whatever.
Okay.
So I watch a lot of content, but we go exactly through first how to think about it, and then how to use the spreadsheet.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for asking that, because I bet other people were also worried about it. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And that section is specifically under the title that says tips for making your application as strong as possible.
Just to clarify on something, so in the cohort, each individual is creating their own event and it will all happen on separate days, or it will all happen. Okay. I see you're nodding. Okay. Thanks.
Yes, it's a perfect question, because I think in there is the like, wait, in May and June when there's 1,000 things going on, and how are we going to see each other's stuff? Yes, we're trying to be more intentional about that than historically has been true when we've done 30 events, which is incredible, but you can't go to everything, and it's very sad. So we're trying to space things out more. Someone might get a Saturday night, someone might get a Thursday night. Thursday nights are good pulls in June because the weekends are so booked up. So there's going to be some variation. There's going to be different venue sizes, but we really like. It's in our interest to help you make the most wonderful event possible. Right? We're not up to set you up. We're not here to set you up. We're set you up for
Thanks.
success. Let's talk a little bit about the theme. So, pleasure in the storm, what does that mean to us? So, our theme this year is Joypocalypse. And that's all about the like, hi guys, we're all in hell times right now. Everyone's living a different version of it, different degrees of it in different moments, but the social work term is cascading collective trauma, right? There's all this big stuff that's moving, and it's hitting all of our families, all of our loved ones, going up and down this micro scale, right? Very stressful times. And yet, we are here. And as artists, isn't our job in some way to keep people's hearts in the mix, right? Whether that is it doesn't, when we say joy, we're not talking about like just a like, oh, a quick fix, feel good, and then you crash later kind of joy. That to me, that's not joy. We're talking about the thing that really keeps you engaged, that you're like, my God, that was a good time. That time that we had that collective cultural experience that meant something and commented on the moment we're in, or the past we came from, or what might come in the future, or what's happening on an alien planet right now, any of that thing that can connect us to each other during this tough time. I think we said a few times, nourish, connect, and mobilize. Those are the real thing. Those are intentional words, right? We want to be nourishing back to our community, connecting people to each other, and if you are ambitious, doing some real mobilization here. Like, it is a politically threatening time. Queer art has always had a component that is strongly protest oriented. So if you got a plan to organize some people and do more than an art build for a protest, or if you're going to do something really cool, but let's talk about that. Let's see. So Pleasure in the Storm is kind of this next version of that. I don't know if you know, but November of this year is a presidential election year. Don't know if anybody was aware. Kidding. Whatever happens in November, all of the ugly bits of society are going to still be there. And this festival is going to happen after we find out exactly which direction we are. But it's not, the gap is stressful. So we know that that's the environment we're going to be in next year. It's not going to be suddenly happy times. So how are we as queers? I mean, there will be more, and we'll elaborate over our communications over the next few months and everything. But if your idea in some way is about pleasure through this nourishing, connecting, mobilizing in the midst of this, not denying it, not just jumping off to a fantasy land where none of the bad things ever happen, but really like being able to face something. You don't have to face all of it. We don't want, like, what would be a really bad project proposal would be like a walk through lived experience of genocide in different centuries. Like, not compelling to us, not nourishing, maybe connecting people through fear if they come to it. I don't think that would mobilize people to like do something positive. I think that would probably not be a compelling proposal. I'm only one person on the committee, but I'm on the committee, so You know, so what I mean is, but also, you know, I'm not saying like, oh, we need stand-up comedy about Gaza. No, like that's, you know, we want the right way of doing it, right? If you're Gazan and you're doing stand-up comedy, that's a different story, right? But but we're really trying to get to something that's realer here for these really scary times. Um, and a way to, again, I'm just going to say it over and over and over again, nourish, connect, and mobilize. On our CQC1 application, we had a question that I don't think we're doing on this one. I don't remember. I'll need to double check if I speak incorrectly. But we had a question on there that was, which part of this does your idea connect the most with? Is your thing about nourishing, is it, or more multiple? So I don't think we have an explicit question about it, but that is something that we really want you to be thinking about as we think about how to curate something that can really feel cohesive and helpful to our people, you know, this time next year. So that was an unplanned soliloquy, and I apologize for space that I just took.
Well, all right. If there are no more questions, we can wrap up. As Anand mentioned, you can email production@queerculturalcenter.org. If you do have questions that come up, I believe also on our website there is a frequently asked questions section of the open call where there's some general questions that we've been asked in the past. And I really hope to see all of your applications on June 3rd. We're very excited. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, we're really excited. Sorry, it's production at. It'll be in the follow-up email that we send. So yes, you are the early birdies who came early to the information session. So in the follow-up email that we'll send the slides. There's a couple typos I had, so I'll correct those before we send them out. You get a link to this recording, and we'll include also the budget, how to do the budget recording link to that one. Yeah, and also if you're like, oh, I don't know if I could do this whole thing all by myself, apply with somebody. No one has to be a hero here. We love when people apply together, as long as you have like a strength of working relationship.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for being here.
Have a great night.
Oh, Imran, I see. Yeah. Oh, yes. You just came in. Yes. So I was just wrapping up saying, since you registered, we're going to send out in the follow-up email. We'll send the recording of the session, and a couple of other helpful things. Question about work samples. Wonderful. Go ahead. What kind of can you include? So sorry, I, again, just like answering questions, but I am talking over my colleagues. Would someone else like to comment on this?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm excited. Okay, so work samples are, because we have some limitations technically, because this is through a Google form right now. So the way to submit your work samples, there is two different ways you can do it. One is if you have visuals, you can send those as an image file, PNG, JPEG, or as a PDF. And if you have video and audio, we ask that you give us links to where we can view it if you have it on YouTube or something. If it's somewhere behind a wall, just give us the password in the little description. There's a place on there where you can type that in, and tell us the timestamps, because I think we maxed it at 5 minutes total or 10. 5. So that's a 5. Yeah. So if it's like, watch this 30 seconds of this video from this performance, and here's minute and a half of a really pretty song I wrote. Any mix of that is 5 minutes, that's fine. If you want to do a mix of audio and video and like the program from my show or the receipts, don't send us the receipts. That's not what we're looking for. But if you're like, oh, here's a budget to actuals from a show, and you're like, yeah, that's this work sample I want to submit, you can do that. but it would have to be a PDF. And it would count against how many minutes of your actual stuff you could show. Mhm. Yvonne, what kinds of genres are you working in, or what medium?
I think it'd be easy for me to talk.
Sure.
I work in a lot of, hello everybody. I work in a lot of different mediums, performance. I'm also a fashion designer,
Mhm.
poetry, monologue, improv, dance, choreo.
Okay.
I like to bring different genres together to create like this kind of holistic type of experience with multi-genre. Um, for people to be able to kind of process information and art in different ways. So that's why I was curious about what kinds of work samples you were looking for. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of think about what would work.
Yeah, if you wanted to submit, here's a piece of clothing that I designed, or a collection of clothing that I designed. Here's photos, and maybe put a couple sentences, and then PDF that together. That would be wonderful as a work sample.
Okay, great. Oh, and I have a follow-up question if it's okay. Do you want people to give you work samples that are like, here is something representative of the work that I have done? Or would you prefer work samples that are more in line with what you want to create?
I will say the best one is the one that can do both. So if you've got some that already organically do both, that's the best. If not, that's all right. We're building it together.
Okay, that's helpful to know. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It can also speak specifically to your project. Like if you have like, oh gosh, this is the project that I've been trying to work on, but I only have sketches or whatever. That could be part of your work sample if you wanted,
Mm,
or you could talk in your proposal about like that. Here's the examples of things I have done, and then with this idea, I'd like to expand on A and B, but I haven't got to try C yet. Um,
okay,
yeah. I think
okay.
a riskier project would be, especially someone you got a lot of options to choose from. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I think also I would just say that really the the work for the work samples, the stuff that is your surefire. Like I play a bunch of instruments, but I would only like sing and play my trombone in public. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna
Yes.
go drum in public.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we want we want to see your strongest stuff, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like,
Okay.
I'm learning on this one and I want to experiment with it, still show us what you got for now, and then
Okay.
we can, and because also the application is just the first step, right? And then if you actually start producing the event, then there's all kinds of time to really shape it and get specific and that kind of thing.
Okay. So the kind of preference is if you can have work samples that are doing more than one thing, both showing your strongest work and possibly in conversation with what it is you're applying for, that's the best. And then from there, you just, okay. If
Yeah.
not that, then something else that just showcases your best.
Yes, I do believe you were taking notes. That was excellent.
Yeah, I was paying attention. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and have a great night.